Welcome back, everyone. The Samsung Galaxy S21 has been out for a minute, but the iPhone 13 Pro has just came out. So let's go and compare both of these phones against each other and see which one you should pick up. Now, I will leave both of these phones linked down in the description below, so you can get them from there and you can help support the channel at the same time. Now, side by side, they actually technically have almost the same exact screen size, which is cool. 6.1-inch AMOLED OLED panels on both of them, which is beautiful. Now, the Samsung Galaxy S21 feels thinner and less heavier than the iPhone 13 Pro. The 13 Pro is a pretty heavy device, and it's heavy in the price tag as well. The Samsung Galaxy S21 is, a couple $100s cheaper in the brand new market, but the S21 has been out for several months now, so it's also gone down in the used market but quite a bit too. So if you're talking about used prices, the Samsung Galaxy S21 is a much cheaper phone, and it's also built a little bit cheaper too. But the bigger thing is that both these have 120 hertz panels now, which is beautiful. This is the first iPhone to actually bring, well, the 13 Pro and 13 Pro Max, first iPhones to bring ProMotion 120 hertz panel, and it's one of my favorite things. Samsung has had it since last year, which is beautiful, and I love it a lot. It's one of my favorite things. Now, in terms of the thinness and thickness, I kind of get the same vibe between both of them. They're maybe the 13 Pro is a little bit thicker, but I don't think one is way thinner or way thicker than the other one. And on the back, we have a very interesting type of dynamic. So with the iPhone 13 Pro, we have this frosted glass back that feels extremely beautiful. I love it a lot. It's perfect. And you have the triple camera setup with a LiDAR sensor. But the Samsung Galaxy S21 has a plastic frosted back with a triple camera setup as well. Now, I am not a fan of the plastic. It doesn't feel too bad, but you can still tell it's a plastic feeling device. And when you feel both in the hand, the iPhone 13 Pro definitely feels much more premium, which is perfect. However, the triple camera setup on the S21 definitely looks better than the S20 from last year, so this one looks a little bit better than last year's. The 13 Pro looks pretty much the same as last year's, so maybe some credit there. USB-C port on the bottom of the S21, lightning port on the 13 Pro. Power button on the side, and that pretty much covers it up. IP certification on both as well, which is great, and that's really pretty much it. There's not a whole lot else that's kind of different between the two. Obviously, the S21 looks a little bit better because it doesn't have a notch, which I actually do prefer on the S21. I don't know why Apple just can't get rid of that notch. I understand Face ID and stuff, but if Samsung can get rid of it with a fingerprint sensor in the display from years and years ago, it's surprising that Apple still hasn't done it. They're like a $1 trillion company. Now, in terms of longevity, this is where Apple is probably going to win. When it comes down to the software update side, Apple is definitely going to probably outperform Samsung. Samsung has actually gotten better, which is pretty cool. I like it, but it's still not going to come close to Apple. The software updates with iOS are just going to keep coming on this iPhone, and they're probably, by the end of this iPhone's life cycle, people probably won't even own this phone anymore, a majority of them, but Apple's still going to support it, just like they are doing with the iPhone 5S. Now, with the Galaxy S21, this is a very good phone still. It's still supported with Android, which is great. I'm not a fan of, One UI. I've never been. It's still kind of weird. It's gotten better, but Samsung also has gotten better at improving the software longevity, which is great, and I do like seeing this type of thing. So in terms of that covers it up on the longevity side. Now let's go and do a speed comparison between both of these devices. Now the S21 has that Qualcomm Snapdragon 888 chipset inside of it with 8 gigabytes of RAM, where the iPhone 13 Pro Max has that Apple A15 Bionic chip inside of it with 6 gigabytes of RAM. So let's go and see which one is the faster iPhone between both of these. And did I say faster iPhone? I meant faster phone. Whatever, you guys understand. Now all the apps are cleared out in the background, as you guys can tell. So let's get into it. Let's do phone calls, 3, 2, 1. And pretty much the same thing. Let's hop out of there. Let's get into their app stores. 3, 2, 1. And of course, we have a network issue here, so we'll just go and hop out of this one. And as always, we can get into camera or something. 3, 2, 1. Pretty much the same thing, but the S21, actually, I don't know. They both kind of had some weird pop-ups that came up. As always, we have a bunch of these third-party applications we can go and get into. So let's get started. Let's get into Snake versus Blocks. 3, 2, 1. Now the S21 actually was a little bit faster there. Surprising, I wasn't expecting that. Gameplay-wise, let's just kind of load into it, and they're probably going to be around the same. Hopping out of this one, let's get into Stack. 3, 2, 1. And the S21 technically was faster to load into the specific application, so at least into the ad itself. Hopping out of this one, we can get into Temple Run 2, 3, 2, 1. And you can see the S21 definitely got into that downloading panel and it crashed for some reason. So the iPhone 12 Pro kept continuing on, or the 13 Pro kept continuing on. So we'll definitely give a point to the 13 Pro for at least keeping the app open. This one crashed for some reason. Fruit Ninja, 3, 2, 1. And it could possibly be that the 13 Pro is faster, but we are going to get a network issue on this, so we'll probably let this one slide. Let's do Quizlet, 3, 2, 1. And they're both kind of the same. Let's do Twitter, 3, 2, 1. And the 13 Pro definitely was faster there. Hopping out of this one, let's get into Instagram, 3, 2, 1. I don't know if I'm logged in here, so I am. So we can load up into their Safari. We can go into their browsers, 3, 2, 1. They may be on different web pages, but we'll just kind of see. So overall, I think the Galaxy S21 did a pretty good job at the performance that it had. I don't think it's like perfect on either one of these, but I think the Galaxy S21 did a pretty good job at, what it had. I also found that, in terms of using both these phones in terms of performance and everything, they both did a great job at their performance segment too. So the 120 hertz really does improve the, fluidity of both. And I really do like both of them. I don't think one is necessarily the faster one, but I think the iPhone 13 Pro does a good job at the performance that it has. So that pretty much covers it up here. Now let's go and hit on the cameras. Now, like I mentioned, triple camera setups on both and pretty much almost identically the same layout. So you have the, the wide angle lens, telephoto lens, and ultra wide sensor. Now you have 4K at 60 on the front and the back, but you do have 8K capability on the Samsung Galaxy S21, which is an awesome feature. I'm very rarely ever going to use it, but I'm glad they threw it in there. Now with the Samsung Galaxy S21, it definitely looks like the UI is a little bit better. You can see it's a little bit more glitchy. Sometimes I feel like the iPhone does a better job at the smoothness factor, but you have way more features on the Samsung Galaxy S21. The iPhone 13 Pro's UI is still the same thing from the iPhone 4, which doesn't make any sense. Apple needs to make more improvements here. And you do have really cool features on both. You do have this new cinematic mode for the iPhone 13 Pro, but you do have portrait video for the Samsung Galaxy S21, which is a very similar effect to the portrait mode or the cinematic mode on the iPhone 13 Pro. Now with the Samsung Galaxy S21 camera, I think it's still very good. Obviously, it's not going anywhere anytime soon, and it's a very solid lens. I feel like the UI, yes, it has way more features and everything, but it is kind of clunky. So you can see that it isn't as smooth or as robust as something like Apple's, specific UI, but it still has a ton of features built in, which I love a lot. Now with the iPhone 13 Pro, on the other hand, definitely not as many features. I mean, you can always click this drop down and get some features here, but you do have a much smoother UI, which is something that I've always liked about Apple. Everything is smooth. There's not a lot of clunkiness going around. It would be nice to get some more features, but I think in terms of image quality, the Samsung Galaxy S21 may be a little bit better. Video quality may be better on the iPhone 13 Pro though, but you're definitely getting more features on the S21, but you're getting more smoothness and possibly a cleaner UI on the iPhone 13 Pro. So now we make it to the end of the video. So which specific device should you pick up? Should you buy the iPhone 13 Pro or should you buy a Samsung Galaxy S21? Well, I still think to this day, the phone with the most amount of features is the Samsung Galaxy S21. Although you do have ProMotion or 120 Hz on both phones, you still maintain things like, potentially better battery life on the S21, potentially better cameras too with that 8K capability, reverse wireless charging, which is a really nice feature to have, Samsung DeX, which is still supported on this phone, which is really cool as well. And that's really it. I think really the Samsung Galaxy S21 is a pretty good value because it's so much cheaper in the used market than a brand new iPhone 13 Pro or even a used iPhone 13 Pro. Fast forward 3-4 months, this phone is still going to be substantially more expensive than this one. But Apple did a really good job at kind of catching up with Samsung in some certain key areas. So we still have the notch, which we don't have on the S21, which is kind of, weird that Apple can't take it out. We do now have ProMotion with 120 Hz, which is really nice. And I feel like this is smoother than the, 120 Hz that I have on the Samsung S21. The design is pretty much stayed the same, but at least it feels better. Like this phone feels like a $10,000 phone. It feels like a slab of gold. The S21 doesn't feel like a $1,000 phone. It kind of feels more like maybe like a $400 phone at best. So this one does a great job at maintaining the build quality. It feels extremely premium. It is a very premium device, and it has a lot of capability, and it's going to be lasting longer than the S21. If I had to have one of these, even though the Samsung Galaxy S21 has more features, I would probably rather have an iPhone 13 Pro, to be completely honest. So that pretty much covers it up. If you guys have any other questions or anything like that, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that will mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.